stand still. I never knew me a better time, and I guess I never will. Oh, Lord and Mama, Friday nights, Susie wore her dresses tight. Crocodile rocking was out of sight. Here we go. Sing it with us. But the years went by and the rock just died. Susie went and left me for some foreign guy. Long nights crying by the record machine, dreaming of myself in old blue jeans. But they'll never kill the thrills we got, burning up to the crocodile rock, learning fast as the weeks went past. We really thought the crocodile rock would last. Well, crocodile rocking is something shocking when your feet just won't stand still. I never knew me a better time, and I guess I never will. Oh, Lord and Mama, Friday nights, Susie wore her dresses tight. Crocodile rocking was out of sight. Sing it with us. You sound great. I remember when rock was young, me and Susie had so much fun, holding hands and skimming stones. Had an old gold Chevy with a place of my own, but the biggest kick I ever got was doing a thing called the crocodile rock, while the other kids were rocking round the clock. We were hopping and bopping to the crocodile rock. Well, crocodile rocking is something shocking when the feet just can't keep still. I never knew me a better time, and I guess I never will. Oh, Lord and Mama, Friday nights, Susie wore her dresses tight. Crocodile rocking was out of sight. Everybody now.
Hey everybody, my name's Bobby. Welcome to Mile High Church. Thank you so much for spending part of your weekend with us, especially if you're new. Our vision, Oneness Revealed, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. Our mission, to serve as a spiritual beacon for personal empowerment and global enlightenment. Before we get started today, we want to give you a look at a few things coming up around Mile High Church for you and your family. Our new class, A Journey in Gnosticism, starts this Tuesday, where you will discover Gnostic scriptures and theology and learn how to navigate the complexities of this modern world. And find purpose and joy amid adversity and cultivate a meaningful life despite feelings of uncertainty. Starting this Thursday, Finding Meaning is centered on the wisdom of Viktor Frankl.
An essential rule of spiritual living is that what is within you is always greater than anything that may be happening around you. And this is at the heart of our Spring Renewal series this year, Spring Resilient, recognizing you were made for these times. Myself, Dr. Michelle, and Dr. Roger are all preparing messages leading up to Easter this year on vulnerability, on discernment, on surrender. And we have a great small group program going on as well. You can go online and sign up. It's for free. They're on Zoom or on campus here at church, or you may already be a part of one. But we hope you join us. It's going to help us remember that in this election year, with so much there seems to be anxious about, there's always a solid knowing within us that if we can trust in it, can guide us through anything. Now is a great time to spring resilient together.
For more information about anything you've heard today, stop by the Events Center or check us out online at milehighchurch.org.
Good morning, Mile High. My name is Gary Lynn Floyd. I'm honored to be back with you for the next couple of weeks. I'm thrilled that it's Choir Sunday today. I get to sing with these guys. So please join us on this new song I wrote with my buddy Jamie Lula. It goes like this. We love the community. We gather in unity. All are welcome here. All are blessed and a blessing to second part goes like this. It doesn't matter where we've come from. It doesn't matter what we've undone. All that matters is we're here now. Keep an open heart. Let Spirit work it out. Here we go. We love the community. We gather in unity. All are welcome here. All are blessed. Blessing to be. We love the community where we discover divinity, recovering who we are in our beloved community. Doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter what we've undone.
How about this Mile High band? Gary Lynn Floyd, our artist in residence this next few weeks. Welcome to Mile High Church. So wonderful to see each and every one of you today. How are you doing this morning, this beautiful spring day? You came here for church, but what you really came here for today, I'm so excited, is Juniper's baptism. So we're so looking forward to that. We're doing something this year called our Rites of Passage initiative. It's about ritual, and we're so grateful to have this baptism here today as a sign of recognizing someone's spiritual life. And that's what baptism is for us here at Mile High Church. It's not about a washing away of sin. It's about honoring that we each have a spiritual life, and all of those virtues that we seek, all of those ideals, they're as much of who we are as our name or anything about us. And so perhaps you might experience your own spiritual rebirth as we have this baptism today. Again, we have our choir, Gary Lynn Floyd, a great service today. If you're new here, we love to recite our vision and mission each week. It's coming up on the screens if you want to say it along with me. It goes like this. Our vision, oneness revealed, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. And our mission, to serve as a spiritual beacon for personal empowerment and global enlightenment. With that, we're going to move into our shared spiritual community practice of song, of silence, and of prayer.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel His mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
As we sit in this silence, in this time of pausing and allowing Spirit to speak to each one of us, how important that is for us to go into the interior place that can only be found within ourselves. Letting go of everything external to us that creates confusion and chaos and unhappiness, but coming back into the center of our being where we can spend that time with Spirit, with God, whatever we choose to call that power which is so much greater than we are. I am so thankful for this morning, this beautiful spring morning, feeling the warmth of the sun as we come into this beautiful sanctuary, this safe place, and meet as a community, feeling the love of all those around us, those who love Mile High Church, but those who love this teaching, love being close to God, and knowing that then we can step out into the world and be a beneficial presence. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for the many lessons of life we learn on a regular basis. And then thank you for always being there to pick us up and to move us on. And I know, Spirit, that in this time right now, that this service is extremely blessed with the baptism of sweet juniper. Being reminded of our own baptism in the Spirit of God, that renewal of our own lives. Thank you, Spirit. And I'm thankful for our musicians, for our volunteers, for our production staff, for everyone who brings this service together with such power so that we can feel the Spirit. And thank you for sweet juniper reminding us. reminding us that we really are each special in the eyes of God. Thank you for that. And so I can let this prayer go now, knowing that it is unfolding perfectly. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. And so it is.
Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's error, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender. Let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore. Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's there, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender. Let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore. Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's air, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender. Let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and
We come together today to recognize the divinity in Juniper Jane Schenk as an expression of love and as a child of God. Megan tells me that Juniper's name means young and evergreen, and she feels Juniper expresses the ever-giving and renewing spirit of life beautifully. I think we can all agree. All three girls share the middle name Jane, which means God is gracious and her favor shines upon us. Today, we celebrate Juniper evolving into a life supported with love, faith, family, and community. We commit to that unconditional knowing of her potential, divinity, and of all the underlining truths of who she is. We also vow to support her parents, Brad and Meg. It is important to recognize that the very existence of Juniper is a miraculous event. Never has it happened before, and it will never happen again. To quote Martin Buber, every person born into this world represents something new, something that never existed before, something original and unique. It is the duty of every person to know that there has never been anyone like them in the world, for if there had been someone like them, there would have been no need for them to be in the world. Every single person is a new thing in the world and is called upon to fulfill their particularity in this world. This blessing today is an affirmation that Juniper's uniqueness not only flourishes, but is supported and protected by her family and her community. This blessing today symbolizes each her immersion in spirit that she can never be separated from. It is a recognition that Juniper is anointed and that she makes her way with God and God with her. May Juniper be touched by all of her divine qualities, and may she always be fully supported by all that can be seen and by all which is unseen. The white rose symbolizes the beauty of spiritual unfoldment. The water symbolizes the eternality of the soul and the purity of the spirit. When they come together, they recognize that place where we express the one spirit in glorious uniqueness. I want to acknowledge Juniper's grandparents, Kay, Terry, Nancy, and Cleve. As grandparents, you have an important task. Unconditionally love your grandkids. It is often you who they will turn to be loved, to be supported, and to be reminded of the truth of who they are. We also honor Juniper's godparents, Amy and Corey, and daughter, Grace. We also acknowledge Juniper's sisters, Annie and Noella. Your sistership is not just because of family, but is divinely ordained. Because of that, to honor not just your biological, but your soul connection, I'm going to invite you to anoint your sister today. Watch out for the thorns. Thank you. Parents, I now invite you to step forward with Juniper. Megan and Brad, we celebrate both of you as individuals and you as a couple and as collective parents of your child. As Angela Schwint said, while we try to teach our children all about life, our children teach us what life is all about. Megan and Brad, do you recognize Juniper not only as your own child, but as a child of God, and that she has chosen you to nurture, care, and to love her?
Yes.
Will you teach her to be an example of living in creative joy, practicing harmonious living, and being true to oneself?
We'll do our best.
Juniper Jane Schenk, I bless you in the name of the great Spirit in whom you live and move and have your being. Please join me, if you so choose, in participating in this ceremony by saying aloud any divine virtues or qualities that you would like this child to realize fully within themselves. Courage, strength, love, joy, play, wisdom, wonder. And so it is.
remember you are love at the heart of your being? Do you remember there is more to this life than what you're seeing? Let me remind you, you are beautiful by far. You've nothing left to prove when you remember who you are. If you ever forget, I will help you remember who you are and who you're here to be. Sometimes it's hard to make a way through the dark, but I will see for you and help you remember. Remember who you are. Do you remember there is peace in the middle of this storm? Remember you have all you need inside to keep you warm. Let me remind you, you're the dust from a star. Your essence is revealed when you remember who you are. If you ever forget, I will help you remember who you are and who you're here to be. Sometimes it's hard to make a way through the dark, but I will see for you and help you remember. You are stronger than you think you are, braver than you seem. This life that lies ahead of you is like nothing you have ever seen. If you ever forget, I will help you remember who you are and who you're here to be. Sometimes it's hard to make a way through the dark, but I will see for you and help you remember. If you ever forget, I will help you remember who you are and who you're here to be. Sometimes it's hard to make a way through the dark, but I will see for you and help you remember. Remember who you are. Remember who you are.
Jerry Lynn Floyd, Mile High Band. Thank you, Rob, Mike, Bijou. Thank you to our ASL interpreter, Melissa Peterson, as well. She does such a beautiful job for us. It's a march here at Mile High Church, Easter Sunday, March 31st. We're looking forward to that in person and online. Spring Renewal, a series starts next week. There's a small group program. You can sign up at the event center or online. And this week, 2 awesome classes are starting. The first is from the Interfaith Ministry with Reverend Zamira, and it's on Gnosticism. Gnosticism isn't so much a religion in itself. It's what the Orthodox Church started calling people who weren't practicing all that was canonized in the New Testament and so on. So it's this great collection of wisdom and stories and so much to explore. So looking forward to that. And on Thursday night, I start a class. Let's hear it for Rama Newton, everybody, our production coordinator. Watch out, you might get baptized. I'm starting a class that's called Finding Meaning, and it's based on the work of Viktor Frankl, who famously endured time in a concentration camp and brought this beautiful philosophy about finding meaning. And so it's not a bubbly class, it's a very challenging class in the subject material, but ultimately it's about finding our meaning in life and living it with greater clarity. So I'm looking forward to teaching that on Thursdays. I want to begin this morning by sharing with you the final day of my son's athletic career. You know, there's a couple schools of thought out there when it comes to teaching kids. One is to really encourage them to excel at what they're best at. Then there's another school that says to help them be a little bit good at everything, right? Be kind of mediocre, but have enough to pass by. And I had played Little League Baseball, and so I wanted Gavin to play Little League Baseball, and I had such a good time taking him out to the park like my dad had taken me to hit him ground balls and pop flies, and he was so adorable in his uniform out there in right field, and nowhere can a child's imagination wander more than when playing right field. And I received a call one day that Gavin was at practice but was now on his way to the emergency room. The coach had pitched a ball that hit his foot, and he was in great pain. And so I got to the emergency room. Mom was already there and waited about an hour, hour and a half, and out comes Gavin with a huge cast on his foot, 2 crutches, and the biggest smile on his face that I had ever seen. And I knew in that moment his time playing sports was over. He had his best time the last 2 games sitting on the bench cheering on his friends. There's a third school to encourage our children to do what they love to do. And that's what was in my mind when I saw Gavin with that big smile on his face and his crutches. Do what you love, kid. Do what you love. And that's my message to you this morning. Do what you love, kid. Do what you love. Life is too short to waste your time on doing anything else. It's so easy to get caught in what I'm calling this morning pulp living, into a mediocre way of life that just goes through the motions and feels like it's not your life, but it belongs to someone else, and it certainly has nothing to do with the life of the Spirit in you. The great Ursula Le Guin said, "The unread story is not a story. It is little black marks on wood pulp. The reader, reading it, makes it live, a live thing. A story." That reading of our own lives, that's that love. See, when you bring your love and your uniqueness into your life, you begin to live your spiritual narrative. You begin to live the life that God has in mind for you. It's the magic of embodying what Joseph Campbell called the pleasure of a lifetime being who you are. The greatest story ever told. I use this name, Pulp Living, based upon the old pulp novels. These were mass-created novels created by writers who wrote them just to make money. And all of the stories are pretty much exactly the same. And they were throwaway novels because they were intentionally created to be cheap. So they were printed on the worst quality of paper. And what I would say about the pulp life is that it's not the life that's lived and based on the fruits of hard work, but it's a life that's lived for convenience. It's not a life that's based on meaning, but on entertainment. It's not a life that's based on rituals and rites of passage that honor our ongoing growth and deepening in life. It's all about the routine, keeping things comfortable and safe. Now, you may hear what I'm saying about the pulp life and say, oh, that doesn't sound all that bad. But that's what makes it so dangerous. Because when we give ourselves to the pulp life, we deny the true life that is waiting for us. The true life that the divine is calling us to live. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, "The greatest gift life could have made to you is yourself. You are a spontaneous, self-choosing center in life, in the great drama of being, the great joy of becoming, the certainty of eternal expansion. You could not ask for more, and more could not have been given." I'm not going to be naive here. I don't think that you have to experience that truth every day, but I hope you get a glimpse of it at least a few times a week. This gift of life, this thing that I'm calling your true life today, your calling, your purpose, it's more real than anything. It's happening right here and right now, but the question is, are you living it? Are you living it? I like to think that this true life is something that's ever available, calling us to embody and to step into it. And all you have to do is be you. All you have to do is to do what you love. 70 years ago, next year, marks the anniversary of when Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus. And this sparked a revolution that ended segregation in our country. And yet I'd like to think that all of the energy of that divine story was already present. It was already ready to happen. It just took this one courageous soul to say yes, to embody, and to step into it. So all that needed to unfold could unfold. She shared, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired, but that isn't true. I was not tired physically, or no more tired than I usually was at the end of a working day. I was not old, although some people have an image of me as being old then. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. I had given up my seat before, but this day I was especially tired from the ache in my heart." It didn't just take Rosa Parks to step into her courage and her boldness that day. It took a minister's son in Atlanta, Georgia, who had his whole ministerial path set up for him, Martin Luther King Jr., to say, "I'm going to try something different, and I'm going to lead this bus boycott in Montgomery, even though I've never done anything like that before." It took a young lawyer named Thurgood Marshall to realize that you didn't need new laws to make segregation possible. You just needed to apply the laws that already existed in the Constitution. It took the courageous actions of Black Americans and a consciousness of the majority of the country to step into what in the heart we already knew was right and should be. And I'm not trying to compare you to Rosa Parks today, but what I'm trying to say is that divine breakthrough, that divine good, that divine meaning, that divine fulfillment, that deep down you know in your heart is real and true, it's calling you. It's calling you. And I don't mean this as fluffiness, because what happens when we deny the call, when we live only the pulp life, that true life, it haunts us. It will haunt you like a specter. It will come after you. It will call you into embodying what it is. And if you feel stuck and you're not sure how to get it going, all you need is that greater expression of yourself, that courageous act, that willingness to be vulnerable, that deep honesty. As you step into being who you are and you embrace doing what you love, everything else begins to come together. And that true life that you've been wanting to live, you realize it's been waiting for you. The great Gilda Radner said, "While we have the gift of life, it seems to me the only tragedy is to allow part of us to die, whether it is our spirit, our creativity, or our glorious uniqueness." It was Valentine's Day a few weeks ago. Not my favorite holiday. I love celebrating with loved ones, but I'm one of those folks, I'm always worried about the folks who maybe don't have someone that they have romance with, so I'm just on the phone and texting all day. And it's a materialistic holiday as well. And this year, I wanted to give my family chocolate and sugar, but I wanted to give them more than that too. And so I thought, gosh, how could I create an expression that let them know how I best see them when they're living their true life? That when I remember them, how I will hold them in my mind as incredible beings. And so I went through all my pictures and I tried to find a picture of each of them doing what they love. And when I saw them as their whole self, living their true life, and I attached a little quote to each one. And so for my wife, April, when I see her at her best, she's with children. She's teaching kids, creating environments for kids. She's shy in general conversation, but she's the most charismatic person I've ever seen when she's with children. And put a quote from Viktor Frankl on there. Someone in a class, he's teaching Man's Search for Meaning. They say, "Well, what's your meaning in life?" And he says, "Guess." And the gentleman writes it down and he hands it to him and he says, "Yes." And the paper says, "To help others find their meaning." I thought about my son when we were first really getting to know each other and connecting, and we got a kite one day in Seal Beach, California, and he was flying that kite, and I had a picture of him just exploring and wondering and imagining. And I put a quote from the end of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott that says something to the effect of there, up over the horizon are my highest dreams and aspirations. I may never reach them, but I endure to always follow where they lead. And then for my little Nancy, she had just bravely gone on the balance beam in her gymnastics class for the first time. She's so brave and courageous. And I put a little quote from Brendan Behan that says, our fears are paper tissue thin, and a single act of courage would help us move right through them. That's what I want my daughter to know, is those little acts of courage will always bring her true life. How do you best see the people that you love the most in their true life? When do you best see yourself in true life? 3 ways to embody your true life to share with you. The first I've already mentioned, but it's do what you love. Do what you love. There's that school that teaches to focus on what you're good at, what you're talented at, and keep doing that. This is often what our loved ones want us to do because it helps us be successful and helps us support other people. Then there's that school to try to be mediocre and know a little bit of everything. This is what society wants for us. But then there's that school that says, do what you love. And only do what you don't love if it helps get you to doing what you love. And this is what God's story wants for your life. It's what that divine calling, who you were meant to be, wants you to do what you love. And yet when we get too caught up in the pulp life, we disconnect ourselves from meaning to the degree that we start to fear it. To the degree that you actually begin to fear and resist doing what you love. It becomes overwhelming. The first thing we can do is we can reconnect with what brings us meaning in our lives. Frankl said there were 3 ways to find meaning. The first is through creative work. The second is through serving a cause greater than ourselves, or through loving a human being via more than our own egoic needs. And lastly, through suffering, through struggle, through challenge. If you can explore those ideas, you can reconnect with the meaning of your life and begin to find that love is not some ghost, some faraway, overwhelming thing. It's who you are. And when we love not only our lives, but what we do, we begin to allow everything else to fall into line to support us. The great novelist Stephen Pressfield wrote a great nonfiction book called The Art of War. Thank you, Brian, for the book. And he talks about living in New York City, an aspiring writer, and he's just been driving a cab for a few years, not writing anything. And he shares on a particular evening, he gets home, and there's about 10 days of dishes there in the sink. And he finally brings himself, overcoming all the resistance he has, to get out the typewriter, as many years ago, and to get to work and to start typing. And he types and types for 2 hours, and he throws away everything he's written. And he gets up and he starts to wash those dishes. And he shares, "To my amazement, I realized I was whistling. It hit me. I had turned a corner. I was okay. I would be okay from here on. Do you understand? I hadn't written anything good. It might be years before I would, if I ever did at all. That didn't matter. What counted was that I had, after years of running from it, actually sat down and done my work." I know it sounds funny, but stop running away from what you love. Run into it. And as you embrace and do what you love, you will be amazed at how that magic of life, that sacred creative process, gets to work for you, because you are reminding your life of who you are. And in turn, it will remind you of why you're here. Congruence, harmony, resonance, reverence. Do what you love. And second, listen for God's voice in your life. Life is lived so much more fully when we realize we are not just living our own life, but in our own way, we live the life of the Spirit. That we are not just the narrator of our life stories, but there is something that is composing a plot. There is a spiritual narrative working through your life, a golden thread of who you are. And if you could let go of all the old stories and the false stories and remember that you are that child of love, just like we celebrated Juniper today, you can get back in touch with that. And you can listen for the voice of that divine plot in your life. Frederick Buechner, the great teacher, said that even that walk to the garbage can that you've taken over 1,000 times can be that right opportunity to hear the voice of God in your life. Viktor Frankl, before he went into a concentration camp, he was already a successful psychologist, and he was living in Vienna, and he received a visa to go to America. And I can't imagine how difficult the decision was for him, because if he went, that meant leaving his parents and his family for an almost certain fate of death. What a difficult choice. And he shared that he prayed and prayed about it, that he prayed for a hint from heaven on what he should do. And one day he got home and he saw that there was a piece of marble on a table. And it had some Hebrew lettering on it that he didn't know how to read. And he asked his father what it was. And his father told him that the National Socialists had destroyed a synagogue, and he had tried to retrieve part of this marble. And he said, "Dad, what does that say on there?" And it said, "Honor thy father and thy mother, so that your days may be long upon the land." And in that moment, Frankl made his decision to stay with his family. Those hints from heaven are all around us, all the time, if we can do that deep spiritual work of getting quiet, of listening, not just in our meditation, but in that everyday life. Stop giving it the pulp narrative of the same shit, different day, right? And live in that universe that knows better than that tunnel vision that we've provided it, that can inform us with such wisdom and grace, that we can find that harmony, step into what we love, and live more authentically, and guess what? More joyfully as well. Lastly, do what you love, listen to God's voice, and remember who you are. There are so many people out there who will be willing to provide you with a story about who you are. Don't listen to them. There's a story that the divine has already written for you, and you only have to choose to live it. As I mentioned, Zamira starts a class on Tuesday on Gnosticism. And one of my favorite Gnostic stories comes from a gospel that wasn't included in the New Testament called the Acts of Thomas. And it's called the Hymn of the Pearl. And I'm paraphrasing it here today, but it's about a young man who lives in heaven. He wears glorious robes and he's beloved by his parents, and he's sent on an adventure to earth to retrieve a pearl of great price that is deep below the water and being guarded by a great serpent. And he's sent to Egypt. And if you know anything or have studied metaphysical or metaphorical Bible interpretation, Egypt always represents the senses, sense consciousness or materialism. And so this young man gets to Egypt, and he's on his mission, but he loves the people there. And he loves the music, and he really loves the food, and he really loves the clothes. And he gets so into living his life in this community that he totally forgets his mission and his purpose. So his parents recognize this, and they send a letter on an eagle that goes and just hits him. And he reads this letter from his parents. Remember who you are. Remember your glorious robes. Remember that you are a child of the divine light. And the young man remembers, and he goes under the sea, symbolizing going within. And he lures the serpent, symbolizing fear and resistance to sleep. And he recovers the great jewel, something you can't take out of the water because it is symbolic of inner knowing, inner realization. The greatest gift of life, knowing at that deep inner level who you really are so you can live it out loud. It's kind of a simple story, but for me, it's the story of all of us. It's all of our stories. We are all born of a magnificent light. We all come from a divine beingness. We are all children of God. In this material world, it's a wonderful place. It is so much fun. There's so much going on. But the danger is to think that that is all there is. When we get so caught up in the everyday that we think it's all that is, we lose touch with who we are and why we're here. And so the divine has placed letters and messages and relationships and possible epiphanies and really good music and sacraments to remind us of who we really are. And as you remember it, as you rededicate yourself to your mission, even if it's a mission you have to rededicate yourself to every day, we come into alignment with who we are, and our true life no longer feels like something alien, but it's the very heart of who we are, why we're here, and what we're all about. I got to thinking, I couldn't help but think, putting those pictures together of my family, about how I see my true self living my true life. And it's been a great gift to me that for me it's getting to be a parent. getting to be a parent, totally letting go of any superficiality and stepping into my true being. I'm so grateful for that experience of being a parent of what my children teach me about life. The second picture, right here, getting to share with you. So with that, we're going to move into prayer. I'm inviting of our incredible prayer practitioners to stand with me if they so choose. And these beautiful souls are there right here in front of the stage, or you can email them, and they're here to remind you of your true life, the life that it's about time to get to live in if you aren't doing it. So right here, right now, in the heart of all that is good, in the heart of the inner knowing, a divine blessingness, divine fortitude, divine creativity, we give our consciousness the sanctuary to rest and recover, renew and refresh in the glory of the knowing that we are one with the divine source, and that this divine source has stories to tell. It has tales of magnificence and connection and uniqueness and light and imagination to tell through you, through all of us. It is the story of healing. It is the story of forgiveness. It is the story of joy. It is the story of freedom, of liberty, of well-being, and of harmony. We are powerful beings, here to love, here to live, not on low, but on high. May we allow any fear or resistance to fade away, no longer identifying ourselves with that story it tells us, but to realize who we are in our very marrow is the expression of a divine creativity. I am so grateful for its alignment in our hearts, its alignment in our lives, its aligning of you and I with this right here, right now moment. There is no more powerful moment than this one right here, to say yes, to embody our truth, and to live it emphatically today. And so it is. Amen.
If you ever forget, I will help you remember who you are and who you're here to be. Sometimes it's hard to make a way through the dark, but I will see for you and help you remember. Remember who you are.
Thank you, Gary. It's such a gift to have you here for a few weeks with us. What I love about Gary, before he slips away, is not only his professionalism as his talent, but one, he's just so cool. He's so smooth and suave in everything that he does. And three, you may notice, do you ever hear him playing and you go, is he looking at me right now? He has this way like no musical artist I've ever seen of really just connecting with everyone in the room in such a way. It just opens this portal to go within ourselves and to live a better life. It's a wonderful ministry. We're so grateful that you're here with us, Gary. And speaking of that talent, he'll have CDs here hopefully every week, and I know you can check out his website as well. Welcome to the 450 folks watching us live on YouTube and Facebook and on our site all over the country and internationally as well. And as we move into this time of offering, just want to remind you that all of your gifts go to something we call our Mile High Church Fund, and you'll be hearing a little bit each week about different areas that funds. And just briefly want to acknowledge our youth ministry. How many people got to see the dedication of the new High Ground teen and middle school area? It was such a wonderful testament, not only of your generosity that helped us to do that, but of the incredible teachers we have in our youth ministry. Jackie Leonard there, Shane Hudgens, Kim Castor, all of the team. We could not have a better team of people creating sacred space for our kids to learn what it is that they love,
to hear the voice of God in their heart and their life, and to remember who they are. I'm so grateful to be a part of that. If you want to volunteer, Stacy Butters, our youth director, I'm quite sure is over there in the youth room, and we are looking for volunteers to assist as well. But it's your gifts that help keep that engine going, and I'm so grateful for that. Again, we're so grateful for all the ways that you choose to give, whether that's money in the basket, or texting to give, automatic giving through your checking account, texting, et cetera, et cetera. We are so very grateful. So let us take our gifts and bless them together, physically or metaphorically. And we have an offering affirmation we can say together. It goes like this: divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is.
How good it is to have the Mile High Choir. And Rebecca, thank you for your brilliant leadership of the choir. Also, so great to have Gary Lynn Floyd here for this Sunday and the next few Sundays. And he's going to be out in the lobby to say hello. He'll have a table out there with his CDs and merchandise. And also, if you are new to Mile High Church, I want to let you know that we have a welcome center in the middle of our lobby. And we have lots of information of all the many things that we have going on here at Mile High. And you may have noticed that our practitioner prayer partners are down front, and they are available for a short affirmative prayer after the service.
Speaking of youth church, everyone, our camp registrations are now open. So that's the Rainbow Day Camp here on campus, Sprout Camp, all of the great things that we do. So if you have a kid or know someone with them, sign-ups are happening now. There's a interfaith field trip today, 12:30 p.m. at the Mother Cabrini Shrine. I hear it coincides with a documentary about her that's being released. So just look it up on your Google, go hang out there and meet some Mile Highers. So grateful for that. Also, just want to share, Jackie and I were in South Carolina at our Centers for Spiritual Living convention a couple weeks ago, and we have this thing, after you're a minister for a few years, you do something called an ordination panel, and you completed that, and I just want to acknowledge that huge accomplishment and the gift it means for us here at Mile High Church. And we'll be celebrating and having an ordination ceremony here on April 21st, so mark your calendars for that. We love you, Jackie. With that, if you care to stand and repeat after me, a little benediction before we sing our peace song. Something wonderful is happening to me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind, body, and all that I do. I give thanks for it, and I accept it. Just the way that it is, and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life.